Cody's going to start the thing.
And then leave.
Y'all are too quiet. And not everybody's back. They're late. They'll come in. Do we have to be quiet? Yes. No. In case you don't know me, I know a lot of you. My name is Dee Willis, Christy, and these people are all my family, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm just going to jump right in because I got a lot of stuff and 2 hours doesn't seem like much time. So there's a saying that rings true for all parents that having a child is like having your heart walking around outside of your body. As any mother or father knows, this process of raising a child is rich with emotions, uncertainties, joys, and sorrows. I want to start with a few scriptures to put us in the mindset of what our mission right here and right now is. So the first one is Proverbs 22:6. You all know that one. Train up a child in the way, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. There's Isaiah 54:13. All your children shall be taught by the Lord, and great shall be the peace of your children. Matthew 19:14. Jesus said, let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. We have a great mission that we have to do. So you've been out there this morning and you've listened to Charles talking about the different ways people learn. And I want to show you some of the things that I do in a children's Bible class that includes all of those things. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to start with is I need, and I put that in capital letters for myself, I need to be the first person in the room. If I'm not the first person in the room, then I've already lost something because some kid may have written all over my board, or they have already decided what they're doing instead of what I'm doing, and then I've already lost a part of that day. So it's so important. That means I have to be there early, and I have to be ready to go. I want my students to be fully in a good mindset to listen and learn from the Bible. If I don't get them there first, if I don't get that first, my whole class is going to be in shambles for me personally. I have right now a group of kindergarten through second graders that are all boys. If I don't have control of the room, we're just shot for the day. So that means I need something for them to do that's going to put them in that mindset. So here we go. I'm going to give every one of you, just take them. You all get a popsicle stick, okay? Just grab some. Have a popsicle stick. Everybody have a popsicle. Everybody gets a popsicle stick. And you get a popsicle stick. You don't have enough. Here. Okay. All right. You get a popsicle stick. They're giving you some. Yeah. Everybody got a popsicle stick? Claire, you got a popsicle stick? You can have one. Yeah. All right. All right. Popsicle stick. Everybody's got a popsicle stick. All right. Okay. So I'm asking you, what are you going to do with that? Hit your neighbor. Okay. Not as a child. As a teacher.
You're going to do what did they say, yes or no? Raise it if you think it's...
Like Charles said, okay? Good. You were listening. You understood the assignment. All right. Tell me something else you could do with your popsicle. Come on, think hard. Huh?
It could be the talking
It could be the talking stick. I like that.
Write the books of the Bible on
Write the books of the Bible on it, okay? What else? Write songs on it to sing. The 12 apostles. Awesome. Memory verse. Awesome. 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 Okay, so I'm going to show you some of the things. I use popsicle sticks with it. My little boys, they love these popsicle sticks. I'm not sure why, but they do. So we have a whole slew of things over here. So this one is just the books of the Old Testament. So what can I do with these books of the Old Testament? Sequence. That's the first thing we always go to. Sequence, okay? So my boys aren't so big on that. They don't read. Okay? Almost none of them read. One of them that can read. So we have taken these. I hide them around the room. And they come and find them, and they bring them to me. And then the sequence goes as they bring them in. Or the other day I had one that was in there real early, and I said, come get a stick, and he got one, and he set it down, and I said, okay, that says numbers. And he was like, okay. I said, go find another one, and he went to get another one, and it was Deuteronomy, likely enough, because they're the same color. And I said, is this before or after this? And then we began back and forth, until he said, I don't think I like this game. And then we moved to something else. These innumerable things you can do with these. You can hide them. You can collect them. That was the other thing. They were like, if they had the stick and they got it, and I said, okay, it's a first, and they all start hollering at me which one it is, okay? And if they were the first one to tell me the right one, they got to keep it. And so then it was like a little, it was a little thing there. And it could be, I tell you the first letter, and you tell me which book it is, okay? You can color code them so that you have them to the different, if we got the, sometimes I'll lose my words. Okay, yes, the divisions of the Old Testament and the New Testament. You can do all the, I just brought the Old Testament ones. But, so these have saved my life lately with the boys because they are onto this and they like anything we do with them. So, just a thought. There's a lot of things you could do with a popsicle. Okay, you could also put things like people's names. You could do men, you could do women, you could do kings, you can do prophets, you can do, all of that. You could break them into groups. So then, when they're a little older and they can remember, then we have just this that says like, okay, you got this stick out? This is the 10 Commandments. You got to say 10 Commandments for me right now. And they're like, okay, well, we'll all do them together. We'll sing it. So we got the Old Testament books, the Minor Prophets, the 12 tribes of Israel, the books of poetry, all that stuff. Amazing things that you can do with the box of popsicle sticks, okay? Review questions, drill class subjects. We still have drill class up on our wall. We have a big wall in the hall, and it has a track with cars on it, and the kids' names cards are on it. And when they get one of those checkpoints, they get to move them. Well, we're not really having drill class right now, but they still want to do the stuff, and so we go over them in class. And then, yes, all of that. Okay. Popsicle sticks for the win. You get to keep yours so you can remember to use some popsicles. Let's see I got 75 of these colored ones at Walmart for like $3. Easy peasy. Okay. Oh, one more popsicle thing. Yes, this was new this last couple of weeks. We're in Judges. We're in we're still in the Lord's army. Yes. So this is our Judges box, and all their pictures are on there. And then So the idea here was to know how many years they reigned. So I remember all the first ones. So it's got a slit in it, and they can put their 40 years right there. And this one doesn't tell us in the Bible, so it has a question mark on it. And so, yeah, but you could do other things. You could turn it on the back side and put the person that was before it or after it, and they would have to do it like that. You have actually 4 surfaces you can use here, because you could use it here, 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 and here. So you could use 4 things about Judges with all of that stuff. So they love this. They think it's super cool that they get to stick that thing in that box. I mean, not rocket science, right? But a lot of work going on. They remember it. All right. Okay, so that's my spill on popsicle sticks. I love popsicle sticks, in case you couldn't tell. All right, so now we're going to talk about learning centers. So Charles did this also at the beginning. He talked about the trifold display boards. These are the baby ones, and they're really easy to get. You know, you can put them away real easily. They fold up, and I started with the little ones because I was like, I don't want to carry a big one up here, because like we've made them out of wood and with cork board on them and then fabric over them, so that you can use them over and over and over and over again and change them. And that's all good and fine if they're going to stay in one place. But if you need to move them around, these little ones are great. So what we do, also magnetic boards. I don't know if your whiteboards are magnetic, but some of them are, okay? But also there's a drip pan at Walmart that is for when you are changing your oil in your car. I mean, I know none of us do that, right? We just go through the thing. But they're there at Walmart. They cost like $20 bucks. And then you can put them on the wall with little, and they're magnetic. They're so cool. They're so cool, and you can use, and you'll see one on one of the pictures that I'll show you in a little while. So these are some of the types of learning centers, and these are meant for the kids to come in and be able to do them on their own without a lot of help. So you're going to see these are going to be for readers mostly. I would have to stand next to my first through third graders and tell them what it's saying, or read it for them, or have an assistant in the room doing that for me. So this one is, and I've tried to do them in a little different way so that you can see how easy they are to put on there. So like I said, these little trifold things that are this size are, I get them at the dollar store for like, the dollar stores now still called the dollar store, but it's $1.25. So I paid $1.25 for this thing. So it's white when you start, and it's, just white is kind of bleh. And so I take a crayon with no paper on it and rub it across it. And the neat thing about that I found out about when I was making these particular ones is that it made it real easy for me to keep them straight because of the type of that stuff right there. So it made lines, and that was really neat. So this one has clips on it. This is about a lot of the dreamers in the Bible, dreams that people had. And then the answers to the people are on these. And then they get clipped on. So that's supposed to look like a little bed with little pillows, I think. I figured that out when I saw it. And then this goes onto it and lays right on top of it. And then on the back, so I don't have to sit there and read everyone to make sure that they did it right, somebody else can look at it, or I can look at it real fast and tell me, yep, they're right. And I don't have to continue to work with them. I can work with somebody else. Have a little thing right here to keep all of those little things in it. Later on today, you'll be able to have time to play with them. Yes?
Did you get that like in a book or something, like the part that says dream? Did you make all of that?
I did, so, okay, it started as one piece of paper. So it was, and this is one of the things I'm going to do with you in a minute. I brought a bunch of pieces of paper that are just worksheets that you turn into. And this is one of those. It was a little sheet where it had the names in between all them, and you were supposed to, draw the line to it. Instead, it's there. It's tactile. We're up and we're looking, and we're not. And then I didn't like the thing that was on it for the name of it was about this big. And I just went and found the dream on Google, and yeah. And then, when you do one of these, they also need to have directions on them. So like this one says, match the people to the dreams. That's really hard. So this one is much more for like 4th and 5th grade kids, because what I want to show you about this, besides the fact that it's a higher level of learning for them, is, and the reason it's a higher level of learning is it's got like 3 words on these little things. And that's not a whole lot of information to figure out whether it was the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th day of creation. And so I went back, and under all of the flaps, I got the Bible verses directly from the Bible and put them on here so that they have to read them to find this stuff. If they don't get it from just what it says, they got to go read. I think it's on day 5. No, day 6 was really long, and so it had to go onto both the top and the bottom. But it's all there. They can see it. And then this is another way of putting stuff on there. So this one was with these little clips. This is roll magnet, and then this got a paper clip hot glued to it. So, but you have to check your paper clips, because if they are colored, they probably have a thing on them, and then they don't work so good then with the magnet. But these stay on there really nice. They're really easy. Again, on the back, this one, I didn't put anything on the back of this one except this. So this one, the disciples of Jesus. So this is from one of the, do all of you know about Bible Fun for Kids? Okay, so it's a website, BibleFunForKids.com. And it's some ladies that are Christians that have taken and made all of these things for all the stuff that we normally do for Bible class. And it's got a lot of stuff in it. And so this is from one of their lap books. Do you know what lap books are? I'll talk about lap books in a little bit. So this is from one of their lap books. And so it has the little flap people with their pictures on it and a thing of this. And so then the idea is there is something like sitting under the fig tree. So you have to find out who that is in there. And if you don't know, then on the back, there's something that they can take you to. And it says on here, all of this stuff is found in Luke 6:12-16. So you can find those things and find out things about the disciples of Jesus. Now, I'll show you something that you don't want to do. First of all, this is the first one of these that I worked on for this session, and I was, being all, I got to do this. And so going back, I should have put these through the laminator, because they're not going to last for very long with a bunch of little kids working with them. Or even if it was done on cardstock, it would have been better. This one just has flat Velcro on it, and these have Velcro on them, and they're really easy when you want to clean it up and go away. It can stay like that, and you can fold it up. So the big mistake I made with this one was I was trying different ways besides envelopes to put stuff in because they tend to fall out. So I thought, oh, I'm going to put a Ziploc bag on there. Well, to get this put on a Ziploc bag, of course I'm going to use a hot glue gun, right? I melted that puppy. And now I can barely get my hand in it. And so I have to take it and shake it to do it, to get it out. But, yeah. Don't try to put a Ziploc bag with a hot glue gun. Here, this one is definitely meant to be used over and over again. The board is. So this board has 8 spots. You can't really see them very good. They're white Velcro. And then this is the memory verse. And then this says, put each sheep in order to correctly see the Bible verse. So here's all the little sheep. And then they have to go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did this one because we all know the 23rd Psalm, and we could do it real easily. So it doesn't have to be sheep. It doesn't have to be an animal. It doesn't have to be a house. It can be anything. It can be any shape you want, whatever, feet, whatever you want to do. And then these come off real easy, so you can put the new thing on, and then you have all the pieces in it. You can use it over and over and over and over again for memory verses. So those are a bunch of different types of learning centers. So we're going to do a little thing here. First, I'm going to tell you that there are all kinds of things you can put in learning centers. I put several different things, okay? So books of the Bible, drill stuff. You could do character studies, maps, specific stories, memory verses, even listening things. So I've taken, this was a long time ago. I don't know what we would put it in now, but we took a little cassette Walkman, and we had, instead of having them read it, we had things on there, and it would say like, put the purple pen next to the person that did blah, 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 blah. And it was just a bunch of different Bible characters that they should know. And so we had the push pins that, you get that have all the different colors on them. And so we were able to do that. And then when we ran out of colors and we started, then we just would like put a star on one of those colors. And so they had to really listen carefully to figure out if they had them right. And it had a little headset on it, and they had to sit there and listen to it and put it in. So you're taking all of your senses here when we're doing this, and we're trying to hit like every type of person, kid that it might work for. So it was always different. And we used to say, Charles used to say all the time, okay, now we're going to, and all the kids would chime in, do something different. So in the whole entire quarter, we tried to, after the lesson, to not have them just have piece of paper in front of them. As a matter of fact, most of the time, we never put a piece of paper in front of them because that's what they do at school all day long. And so it was always something different. So it was a different game or a different type of something or whatever that they had to do to get to the learning, the learning of the lesson and the application to it. So what I'm going to do for you right now is tell you and show you how you can take a plain old sheet of paper, worksheet that has even just ABC, when you have the different choices, okay, of thing, how you take this and make it into that, okay? So there's a bunch of these here, and you can just grab one, and we can kind of look at them. Some of them are going to be very simple, and you're going to be able to say, oh, I can do that, no problem, no big deal. And some of the others you may go, there's a couple of them that I need to, that have 2 pieces to them. These are all available. We'll start here. Just kind of pass these around and look at them. This one. Okay, yeah. So this one had to fit with this one. Okay. This one has 2 pages. This one has 2 pages. The rest of them don't. Somebody want a 2-page one? Here you go. There you go. This one, so the things that they're asking for are right here on this page that go with this one. So how would you take this piece? Okay, somebody that's already got one, kind of just let your brain kind of move out and say, how can I take something that's on this piece of paper and put it to one of these type boards where the kids can come and work on it, leave it, and move on, okay? Anybody got a thought so far? What you got there?
This one says meet your match, and it's got a little magnifying glass.
Uh-huh.
And I was just thinking, it's kind of like you were saying, they like the touch.
Yes.
They like to do things. So we had a little box one time where you had a little flashlight, and they had to look in and see something. So I was just thinking, it might be fun to have a real magnifying glass.
Right.
Maybe make these small, do some matching like you did. And then they have to look at it and then figure out where it goes.
Or even, like you said, you could have the answer before the question and make the answer big, but make the questions tiny where they have to look at it to match it up with it because they can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Somebody else?
We have the judges on a
Crossword puzzle.
So our first thought, or one of the thoughts we had, was like blowing up the puzzle itself, and then maybe making little letters that you do with the magnets or whatever, where they can just put them in that way.
Exactly.
It could be tedious.
It's
They would like that.
it's a little bit tedious, but it's a lot less tedious than trying to make sure that you're trying to tell the kid to put the right letter in the right box when they're trying to write when they're 5 years old. That becomes tactile. Did everybody see what this is? Yeah. And so if you blow it up and then you make the pieces, or even better yet, you go buy a bunch of boxes of Scrabble pieces that they're all over the place now, and you get the Scrabble pieces and put the magnets on it. Then it doesn't become very tedious because you didn't have to make them all.
We can order the Amazon. Really good idea.
Yeah.
Scrabble pieces on Amazon.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Would you attach those with a magnet? How would you attach that?
That one with the squares, it might be better. The magnets tend to, if you kind of touch them too quickly, they will fall off. I would do Velcro on that one. Personally, me. Yes.
Would it work to expand, like to blow it up with a projector?
Absolutely.
And use letters, magnetic letters?
Yep. It sure would. It sure would. So I've taken one before that, the big paper that's like this in a big binder that they used to use it before we had all these nice projectors and stuff. Yeah, chart paper, and painfully wrote the squares onto it and then did it with the kids in class, and they love it. They like puzzles. They're enamored with puzzles, but they can't always use the puzzles. And what's going to go out the door, is the kid going to get out the door with that thing, or are they going to put it in the trash when they were leaving?
Yeah. We had a quarter where they all did that. You remember they'd all leave the classroom and they
Throw them in the trash. Yeah. Throw away. What else? What you got? Who's got one? What would you do with that? That's fun stuff right there.
I don't really know. This one's a little.
So this is a code. Okay, so this is a code. Let me see. Let me show you. So this is a code thing. So all the code is right here. Okay, and then the parts that need to be filled in are right here. So what you can do with something like this is you make the code bigger. Okay, we did a whole, I remember one time we did a whole quarter of, we had a different we had one of these big ones set up just for a code. And every code was different. Every week had a different code symbol thing, so they couldn't like get tired of knowing what the symbols were already. So you take the code, make it big, put it in the center, and then you could just go ahead and take these same things that are on here and put them on here. But if they are laminated, you can use a dry erase marker on them and they can write the code in. And then when you give it the okay that the code is done, then you wipe it off and the next person is ready to use it. So they love codes. Kids love codes. What else we got? You got a code too, don't you?
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking some of the same stuff you were saying, and, to like blow up the actual code itself and put it somewhere on there, and either find a way to use dry erase markers, because these are all like, they're almost like paragraphs.
Yeah, those are
sentences.
Yeah, and you don't have to use all of them.
Yeah,
you can just use part of them.
But you could have each sentence in a different section and either dry erase to where they can do the code, or I guess you could, maybe even use the magnetic strips and have them all already, like the letter with the symbol that is associated with already all printed out, and they can put it on like a strip.
Absolutely. Good. You got a code too, didn't you? I went a little crazy with codes, but there are so many codes. What do you think about that one that you have? Oh, I don't know is a great answer.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So this one's called Fractured Proverbs, and they're all parts of Proverbs, but they're with the rubies and the gems and stuff. So what I would do is I would take these big ones and make them bigger and make them colored, so they're all different colors. And then they have the thing next to them that they're asking about. It starts the verse, and then they have to match the rest of the verse. So the rest of the verse could be a smaller thing or a bigger one with it, or it could be just the little piece with it. But it's taken all of the things that you're trying to do and just putting it up bigger and a little flashier than a white piece of paper.
What about like a maze? I have a maze over here, and I don't quite know what to do with it.
Which one?
Also a code, so it's a combo.
It is a combo. It's a combo. So there's two different ones on here.
Yeah.
They came from some children's bulletins. They're actually pretty hard. When I looked at them the first time, I was like, "Whoa, what do I got to do here?" So, and that's when I would do one or maybe even two on the same thing, because a lot of times if you have a bunch of kids in the room and you don't have, you have 12 kids in the room and you have 5 learning centers, then some of them are going to be sharing and working together, and they get through fast. Finding this one is hard. I had to really focus on it to get it to work, which probably is why they put it in a child's bulletin, because it would give them a lot of time and it didn't go like this. So that's always fun. And then this code is kind of hard too. This particular code is difficult. And so this is for older kids. Do the same thing,
Yeah.
blow it up and everything.
Would you do that with like just a normal maze too? I feel like you use mazes and like word searches all the time.
I like mazes when they are making a point, that they have to get to a certain person or whatever. Just a maze for the sake of a maze.
No.
It doesn't have a lot of great possibilities. That one's easy.
No, mine's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So it has sin, oppression, repentance, liberation, peace, and circle already. So you just glue them up there. But what's kind of hard is those words are kind of like abstract a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was thinking what you might have to do is put on the circle an example
Mm-hmm.
if they're older, and then that way they can try to figure out
So, and there's a picture symbol on the bottom to match them. But if they don't know what the words mean already, you're going to have some understanding of the meaning. Yes, not quite done, but on its way, right? How about those cards back there?
I'm sorry, but it's texting me for a head count.
It's okay.
So, okay, I'll offer a suggestion. I think these are riddles, so it's who am I? And these are judges. So I think what I would do with this is laminate these, and I'm always I like manipulatives, like
Mhm.
you're talking about. So I would blow this up into like things that we could use on a magnetic board.
Yeah.
And then I would have the riddle and then this, so if you have readers, then they can read them and match. So you put them on a board and you match them. So you
Match
have
them
the
up
riddle.
to even a picture, if you have pictures of the judges
So the
with their
picture
names on them.
judges with maybe a clue, about something that might help them associate the name of the judge with, something. And then I would probably, for kids that couldn't read, I would read the riddle to
Mhm.
them. But
Yes.
see, they don't have to get up out of their chairs and out of their seats, so going to the whiteboard is a big deal.
Right.
So if I read it, then they could maybe know the first letter of the name of the judge.
Yep.
And be able to, match them up that way.
Right.
Or
So
draw a line.
I'm going to bring that back in when I talk about something else in a little bit. Don't let me forget that you have them, okay? Anybody else want to try on one of the things they've got?
What would you say what would you suggest?
I would suggest the same sort of thing, except I would probably put, instead of just having it on the one side, I would probably put a picture on the other side as well. So it's two-sided, and have where they have that, they have the riddle and the person's name on it too, all in the same place on the card, where I would like to have the one part on one side and one part on the other. So if they are reading,
Okay, so you just flip them around.
just flip it around.
Good.
So, yes.
One time Stephen was teaching it when we were over at the Woodlands, and I can't remember, it was older kids, and he did a thing on the wall with a string, and like a string art. And it was like put the apostles in order or something, and you
Yep.
had to do the string in order, and then it would make something, which takes a lot of forethought. I can't think like that.
It
but
takes a lot. Some of this is super easy, and some of it is you get yourself going when you do this for a while, and you might go, what some people would go, I would never take the time to do that. So if you're going to do something really big like that, it's something that you want to use for quite some time, not a one and done.
Right.
So, what'd you get? I forgot.
I got the day.
Oh, yes.
Actually, I'm thinking a little. I go big or go home.
I like go big or go home. Yeah.
8, I'm like, make like a 3D octagon.
Oh.
And put the words on the octagon, and then they have to match the picture to the words.
I love it. Yeah. So she has a thing that has some people, and then it has some things already on the other thing that tells them.
Like soldiers arrest Jesus.
So it's all about the last week of Jesus' life. And so it has pictures of it, and then it has phrases for it.
Get Ray involved.
You could get one of those big dice.
That would
big
be my
dice.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Like a
Or die.
die.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can buy it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like a globe.
Hi, I like it. You guys are stewing around. That's awesome. I just like, I love Bible class. I love kids, and I love to watch kids learn. I love to watch that aha moment. And it's so, so, so important that our kids get that aha moment, because the stuff that they're being bombarded with outside is bright and crazy and full of making them want to look at it more. And if we don't do anything but give them a piece of white paper every day with black stuff on it, it's part of our times. We have to in my opinion, in my humble opinion, we have to do better. We have to make things bigger and better for our kids. All right, so I'm going to switch from learning centers. I can talk to you about learning centers all day. I can make learning centers all day. I love to do it. It's fun for me. And I know how much it helps my kids. So I'm going to leave learning centers. We can come back and we can play with them and talk more about them later, but I need to get through this other stuff too. So I want to talk to you about journals. Okay, so I used the word lap book earlier. How many of you actually know what a lap book is? Yes? Okay, not some of you not. So a lap book takes the things that you're working on. Say, for instance, the life of Jesus, or the disciples of Jesus. And it's going to take that stuff, and it's usually made out of, what are those files, okay? And they'll take them and cut them in certain ways and put them together. And then in different parts of them, it'll have questions on them, have little flaps with little people on them. And the kids are supposed to write things on the flaps to remind them of what they've learned from that. So lap books can be exhausting too, because you have to cut out a million things, and you really need to do it over time, and it's a long thing that goes on, and it takes a lot of time to do it, and as you know, the kids aren't always there. And then they didn't write in their thing, or they can't write in their thing, and you have to write it for them and all of that stuff. It takes up too much time in Bible class. I love them, but it takes up too much time. So I love the idea of the flaps and the drawings and the writings. And so I started doing with my kids in class what we call our journals. So these little books cost 94 cents at Walmart. And they have, I don't know, 40 something pages or something like that. So I'm going to show you some stuff that goes, this is from the quarter for, I'm in the Lord's Army. Okay, so this is my girl one, but this was a once on. I have no girls in my class. This one happens to be there on the first day, and she was visiting. Thank goodness I had a girl soldier, just in case. But yeah, so the first thing they did was they wrote part of their memory verse for the first, how they do that. And so she wrote, love, heart, soul, strength. Yes. And so, and that took a while for them to write it. And I had to write it on the whiteboard so that they could write it back. Then the next one, and we're going to turn this on. How do we turn this on? Da, 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 da. So this was the next piece that went in. All of these things that you find, that most of these flap things, I get all of these at Bible Fun for Kids. And then you're able to download them, and so then they're in my little files in my computer. And so we started with Joshua, and we put it across here because it didn't fit on here. And so as we come to all of these things in Joshua's life, then they wrote something on them, or they drew a picture inside them. So that came back and forth between the next couple of things. Then the next things that they were doing in there, I didn't have flaps for, and instead, okay, it moved, but it didn't do it. Does this touch?
I don't think so. I think you have to use the buttons, maybe like the scroll button.
Here we go. So this is the next one. Well, it's there. That's the Jordan River. Crossing the Jordan River. This is the actual art from one of my kids. So that was his, I said we were talking about them getting across the river, and And I said to them, you need to draw a picture of the Jordan River, and I gave them the instructions. I want you to go from one edge to the other all the way across, and then don't forget that they went across on dry land, and that was what he did, and he knows what it was. And then the next one was then, let's see, oh, look, there we go. We're doing it back. Now I need to go back. Went too fast. Okay, so the next one, what was the one before this? Okay, so the next one, who can tell me what that is? Jericho, yes. So he, yep. And they got a little piece of red thing, and they put it on there for what's her name? Rahab. Rahab. They put it on there for Rahab, and that was what they put in their journal that day. They also did one for Ai, and on Ai, they had a big A on one side and an I on the other, and then they did some other things. They did, him falling in Achan's part and all of that stuff. They're pretty interesting drawings. But that I don't always ask them to write anything. I don't always ask them to put a flap on anything. Sometimes they're just drawing. And the neat thing about this is when they're done at the end of the quarter, they take it home with them, but I don't ever see them at home because they all have them at worship and they're writing notes in them. And that makes me happy because they're writing in their little books. So yeah, those are two of those drawing ones. We have others that are like, this one is Joshua's life. And so we went through, after we had finished with all the stuff with Joshua, this was like a reminder of what Joshua did. And so underneath these little pictures, they have the things that have a thing on them. This one says, went to Canaan to spy the land. And so they had all these little pictures, and they had to find the picture that went with that and then put it on there. And then this one's real neat because I did this. The kids is, I let them do what they need to do. They're crunchy and all of that stuff, but they got it. So that was Joshua's life. And then I have a couple of other things back here that, like, this was the story of the Gibeonites deceiving them. And so it got trifolded like this and then put in here, and then they wrote Gibeonites on there, and they can open it up and look at it. This is the one from learning all of the tribes, and that was my coloring. I had one of my dear little boys wrote with the red pen so hard on one of them that he poked a hole in it. But it's in his journal. Right now we're in the midst of the judges. They have written something right here about the judges, and they've drawn some judge stuff. But each one of these has, as we go along, Othniel, and then what my guys are doing right now, because like I said, they're not reading. They don't write really well, but they like numbers. So like they put, it's number 1, and he reigned for 40 years. So it's 1 and 40, and that's it. And so they go through all of them in there. They just finished Gideon folding. This one was interesting. But they're going. They were in Samson. They're in Samson tomorrow, and I'm not there. So, but my friend is there. She's doing it. So that's where they are, and it doesn't take a lot to do this. I have some tips later on about these. You cut them out and paste them on here. I let the kids paste. Sometimes if it's like only one thing they need to cut, I let them cut it. But more often than not, I find myself, it's just easier if I have cut them already because it saves time. And then they paste them in. You just can't imagine the things that you teach children in Bible class that aren't about Bible class, like how to use scissors and how to not just put the glue in the middle, because then it's going to fall off, because it's, all of that stuff. So that's interesting. But the cut and paste, the kids like the cut and paste. And they like the fact that they know they're going home with their book at the end of the quarter. So a lot of times, I don't send anything out from, I don't have like a coloring sheet or something like that. I don't often send the kids out from class with anything in their hands but their Bible. And that's okay, because their parents know what's going on and they know what we're doing. And Bible fun for kids. You'll love it.
It looks like it would be a really good way to review.
It is a great way to review. Yes.
At the end of the quarter, you're able to use that book to review.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's cheap. All right. This is my new love of things. I like to do what I call, this is how I do it, and I didn't have a name for it, so I came up with it. So it's called teaching the wall, or teaching from the wall. So when I go into a classroom, everything is in my, I'm going the wrong direction. Okay. So all 4 of my walls are covered with stuff. And they're only up there if I'm going to teach from it. And then I'm going to continually teach from it. If I'm not going to teach from it, for the next half of the quarter, it's going down and something else is going up. Some of this stuff is straight from the bulletin boards that come from, what's the name of that curriculum? Shaping Hearts for God. We talk about that verse over and over and over again every time. And every time we use that map, and we use it a lot. And so it's there, but I teach from it. I'm going to show you the rest of the room. This is what my room looks right now. Don't judge me about having to drink on the ground, because nobody was there but me. Okay. This board is meant for, you see these things? Those pals? The boys call them pals. So we take those things at the end of, or some point in class. We've done the lesson and we say, okay, which one of these are we shooting down from what we learned in our lesson? And they will say, well, he had to be brave, so we're shooting down fear. And that's how that little thing got on there. And so they're quick to get to sin and disobedience. I don't think they know what distraction means. But so we use those as that. And then down here, when we got to Jericho, not before we got to Jericho, but when we got to Jericho, that went down. So that's that whole side of the ball, and the bottom of it is the city of Jericho, and there's her red ribbon coming down. And then, I'm going the wrong way every time. So this one is part of, go back. This one is the Joshua stuff. Each one of them went up as we got to them. It wasn't Joshua from the start. It was just the J. All of these things I've gotten from that website that I was telling you about. And then there's our judge cycle. I can't tell you how many judge cycles there are out there. Different people do them in different ways. So, but that's that board I was telling you about, the drip board. That's the drip board. And it has, so those are just all magneted up there on the backup.
How did you mount the drip pan to
The drip pan has, do you see this little thing right here?
Yeah.
And there's one on that side. So it's like a crooked, it's like this, and one side of it has like a screw, and so it screws into it, and then it pushes up against a wall. And it's sitting on a a chair rail on the bottom of it. We have chair rails. Don't know why we have chair rails. Well, we do. And then this is the front door of the and the idea of what we're doing for the quarter. And then that's our memory verse and our their stickers for when they come in and if they bring their Bible. So if they say their memory verse, they learn their memory verse, they're right here along this thing. And their names are on these. And then they have little medals for them. I try to do the whole theme thing. The reason we have all of those clipboards hanging there is because a lot of times we sit on the floor, or we used to sit on buckets until they crushed through all of them. And so they can write with it on their lap. And also, if we have papers or worksheets that they are going to take home, when they're done with them from the table, they take them over there, put them on their clipboard, and then it's not in their way, and they take them out when they're going. They take them off and go. So that's everything that's on these walls. I'm teaching from every time. This place, when we were right here, this wall at the time that this was taken was not, there was a space open on it, and it now has all of the judges' pictures on it and judge stuff. So, like I said, it was empty until I got ready for that. I didn't put it in at the beginning of the quarter. The great thing about teaching the wall is, first of all, it's not just pretty. It has to be a teaching tool. If it's not a teaching tool, I don't want it there. Second of all, it needs to move frequently or it becomes invisible. If it's there for too long, they don't even look at it. It's of no use. Okay? It's really good for maps. It's really good for memory verses. I even have used the ceiling before. You have these metal things around like that. So I didn't do it this quarter because but before, instead of using those POWs, I had these green army men with a white thing, you know how the kids throw them and they come down the parachute thing. And so each day before we left, we would say, okay, what's the word that we can use to say about this lesson? And we wrote it on the parachute and we hung them from the wall, from the ceiling. And so they were all over the ceiling and they could get to them and they couldn't touch them, but they looked at them a lot. Okay, the add-on as you go is great because, and I had to move that thing. I started with the J in the yellow, and then as I moved across there, I thought, I'm not going to make it. And so I had to take them all down and redo it. But they do so much good stuff on that site. They take it and put the pictures and the numbers and things that are important for that part of the person's life. And we go back to them and talk about them. Remember when Joshua did this? Remember when they were talking about going back into Canaan and they were afraid because of the Anakin, and I went back to the grasshoppers and reminded them about how they had seen them before and they were going to be okay and all of that. So also one of the things we often do is make a word wall. And on the word wall, this is funny. So we did a thing for Israel, for the whole reign of the whole Israel thing. And so they had a word, we looked for finding, we let the kids put up words for anything they thought was from the Bible verse. And they would give them to us, and we would write them on the wall. It was on a piece of paper. We would write them on the wall. At the end, we wrote a book for them. Everything I know about Israel from A to Z. And it was like a book of letters. I mean, a book of letters with words that they had to and then tell us what they meant. They had to have a meaning for the word. And this little boy brought us this thing, and it was, the word was sin. And his definition was, Israel did this all the time. And yep, you're not wrong. You're right. That was, and that has stayed with me forever. That kid is a man and has children, and I still think about that. Israel did this all the time. So that's some neat things about teaching from the walls. Anybody have any questions about teaching from the walls? No? You don't have to do it, but I like it. It works for me. Okay, so just a couple of things about things that I think that are real important with this. For one thing is, I don't sit down while I'm teaching. I stand up, I move around the room. I have to move around the room to get to the things on the walls and touch them. But when I move, and I move around like that, the kids have to pay attention to me. They're at least more inclined to pay attention to me because I am moving. And so they follow me because I'm moving all the time. Also learned that from my work, which I work for a children's theater company. And that first thing that they say to us when we're going into class is, you don't sit down. Don't sit down. And so, anyway, so important stuff. Make sure that the parents know what you need the students to have for class. If you want the students to have their Bibles, you need to tell the parents, your kid needs to bring a Bible. And when they say, but my kid doesn't read, I say, I still want them to have a Bible. We still open it. We still find it. Even though they don't know it yet. They can't read it yet, but they know that we find it. And then we know that it's God's word. And we're not just saying, you're too little to read. We're putting it in their hands and getting used to being in their hands and something that they treasure and they carry around. And then I said, use those Bibles, even if it's just to find the book. The book will turn to the chapter will turn to the verse, and the verse will turn to knowledge eventually. But if they don't start doing it from a young age, they're going to be more resistant to it later. Reading levels. My guys just don't read. But I encourage them to follow with me on the words, even if they don't know what they're looking at. And the ones that can read, I let them read for a little bit. Otherwise, we would be not going anywhere. And I encourage them to read. In their Bibles, using markers, not necessarily coloring markers, but markers like bookmarks or little like the little flags on the sides of the big things, the things that you really want them to remember. You really want them to remember that Jesus died for us on the cross. You put that thing there where they can see it and they know. It's a big thing an anchor to know where Noah is. It's a big thing to have an anchor of where Moses was, And so tabs or bookmarkers or even underlining or highlighting if their parents are okay with that. But you have to know if their parents are okay with that, because you don't want them just scribbling all over the place, and you have to really work with that. It is very, 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 very important to me with younger kids is that we need to sing, 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 sing. Okay? So I know it's like, okay, after we get done with everything, we're going to sing. Well, don't always get done with everything, and then we don't sing. So if you sing when you start for once, and then you sing with something that's part of your lesson, that's a direct song about your lesson, you stop and sing. And then if you have more time at the end, yes, let's sing. My boys go crazy about some things, and I have to stop and tell them all the time, are you being silly or are you praising God? If you're not doing praise to God, then we're not going to do this. And they start to be, okay, we'll get it. So I had to completely ban Father Abraham. We can't do Father Abraham. My boys do not have that much self-control. But singing is so, so, so important to them, and so, so important that they want to pick the things, and they want to do those things, and it's a joy to them. I see so much of the time that after pre-K and first and second grade, that stops. And I don't know why, because it's so important. I mean, how did you learn to say the books of the New Testament? You learned them singing, okay? How did you learn to say your ABCs? Singing. That stuff is so important to our children's lives. To learn those things, to know them, and what's any better way than singing? I mean, we're commanded to do it in the Bible. And then I was talking to my daughter recently about, I've been having struggles with my boys. I have one of them in particular that just has absolutely no self-control. He doesn't have any self-control at home, and he doesn't have any self-control anywhere else either. And it's really, he can get my whole class just messed up really, really fast. And I was trying to tell her about that, and she was like, Mom, you need to incentivize. I said, incentivize? Yes, you need to incentivize. I said, well, I do my stickers at the beginning of class, and when they have a memory verse, I give them a. She's like, yeah, every 10 minutes, you got to give them an incentive. So they'll be still. If you are being quiet and you do a good job with this, I'm going to give you this stamp on your hand. I'm going to give you this sticker on your hand. I'm going to give you a pencil with a Bible verse on it, or a pen. But all of these things that are incentivized are not candy. They're not toys. They're things that we can use with our Bibles and with our journals. And even things like, okay, I really appreciate that you stayed still while I was doing this, and you are going to get to pick you're going to get to be the first person to pick the song. That's a big deal for my boys. And the other thing is time together outside of the building. If you can have time to have fun with your Bible class students outside with something they want to do, and I don't mean when you go play on the grass in front of the church building. I'm talking about like on Saturday, and you get them all together to make cookies or go get pizza or whatever. It's very helpful to know them in another place than just in your classroom. And then I want to talk to you for a minute about a wrap-up of what I do at the end of a Bible class. And that is that I will ask them a quick question. Who did we learn about today? Or what did so-and-so do? And then I want to give them an exit ticket. Because like I said, they hardly ever have anything when they are walking out of the room other than their Bibles. And so I just learned this recently. I've known about an exit ticket for a long time in classrooms, but I never applied it to Bible class, and I'm going to now. So a a ticket, where did I put them? It can be as simple as a card like this. Like last week, my ticket would have been, what did Jephthah do? Okay, my little friend that I told you about that can take my class out in no time flat, when I asked him, what did you learn in class today? He looked at me and said, Jephthah's an idiot. And I'm like, you're not wrong. We might could put it in a nicer way, but yeah, Jephthah was pretty idiot. So the card would say, ask me about Jephthah. And it's really great if you put it on a string and attach it to them. Then their parents see it, and their parents ask them about it, and then you've made a connection, not just to your class, but to them, to someone else. And that's a good learning tool for all the time, because you're moving it forward to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. Or even somebody they don't even see, but they have that thing on there, and somebody else in the congregation says, hey, I saw you learned about Jephthah today. What did you tell? What happened with Jephthah? And then they're talking to somebody else about it. And Jephthah's an idiot. Yes, that's what my friend would have said. Jephthah's an idiot. But you can say, another way you can say it is, ask me to say the New Testament books for you. I can say all of the books of the Old Testament. Can you? I mean, these little exit tickets are like moving us up to the next thing. So those are my wrap-up things. So I have a couple of things more to tell you later, but I want you to be able to see, I want to show you my favorite books that help with stuff. Have y'all seen these favorite Bible heroes? Okay, so they go in different grade levels, and they some of the stuff in there is not useful. Some of it's really great, and it has a lot of good stuff in it where you can make stuff for your learning centers, or even you can put them in your journals, and they're about specific characters at specific times in their lives, and there's like I said, I've got 4 of them right here. I think they have more than that, but they're nice. I like them. I've used them a lot. I love this book called Through the Bible in a Year of Puzzles. It's made for grades 3 through 6. Some of it is great and some of it's not all that great, but most of it is really good. And again, great things to move those from, or sometimes when you just can't find in your drawer of stuff something that you're wanting to look for, sometimes it's in here. And it blows my mind. I never saw one of those like that. I've never seen that scripture put into a piece of paper like that. And so that's pretty cool. These two right here, this one's called Interactive Bible Story Bulletin Boards, and this is real helpful if you're going to do the walls. So, and it has a lot of things already in it, or at least you can have the jump start from it to go to something else. And this one, love this. 3D Christian story starters. So they have the whole thing, like this is the one for Jonah, which I really like, although it really looks like a whale, but you get the idea. So these 2 pieces of Jonah, you have to take some more paper and cut it out that way, and then he makes a little book. And so the kids then rewrite the story themselves into the book, and then this has 2 pieces and it goes into the fish. And then there's some ones that make whole bodies, let's see, where is Joseph in here? Well, that's Pharaoh. Look, this one's a Pharaoh. And then it has a writing thing in the middle of it, and it makes his whole body. That's where they write, and you can put more pieces of paper in this. This flaps over, and it can be on the wall. It just I would go through. What I would do with this is I would layer onto, as they go, each one of the plagues, and it would look like Pharaoh at the end, and then they have it to take it home later. But it's something that we'd be using week after week after week. Really nice book. I like 3D Christian Story Starters, and y'all can get this code off the back of them and find them on Amazon or one of the book distributors or whatever. I've had a lot of good stuff out of this. 5-minute Bible fun lesson openers. I've learned some things from some of them that have been really great. Like I say, there's not every one of them's great, but some of them I'll read them and I'll go, oh, I could do this instead with it. And they're really nice. 5-minute Bible fun lesson openers. So some of them are crafted. I'm not too much terribly into that, but yeah, sometimes you need a craft, right? Especially if it's Vacation Bible School. Love these 2 books. These are so fun, and I don't know. At one point, I had them all in. I had them all put. I don't know where they are right now. That's bugging me. They're somewhere at the church building. I did. They're sleuths. So the way it works is it starts from, they give you a card every day of the week, okay? And it tells you something that starts that you wouldn't necessarily know right away from the first one because it's not enough information. So the first one, like this, the end of this one is going to be the Garden of Eden. But it says, this beautiful place was located at the point where one river divides into 4 rivers. Well, they're probably not going to be able to get what that place is just by that. So that's the Monday card. But you don't have to do it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You could do it all at once and see how fast did they get it. Did I get it on number 2 or number 3 or number 4? And the last one, that's easy. A man gave names to all the animals that lived in this place. By then, they've had all of these things, and they know it's the Garden of Eden. But and then it has a little story thing that you can put with it. But so I did these in a manila envelope that has the flap thing on the back of it that pulls it down. And so the kids would take them because I don't know how many are in each one. Probably 10 or 15 in here. So they would take them. They would take the whole little bag with them, and then so they knew they were redoing the next one. They would write their names on the outside of it, so we knew they had already done it. And they stayed in the room, and they would take them home with them, and then come back and flip them back out. It was just something else for them to do. And there's an Old Testament and a New Testament one. They're all you can copy as many of them as you want to. It's all fixed that way, and it's called Scripture Sleuth, a game of Bible discovery, and they're really cool. So nice things to have for extra things or kids that want extra things. And yes. All right. So we're going to have about 15 or 20 minutes, probably 20 minutes, to look at and play with the stuff and see if you can figure it out. See if you find any questions in it that you don't know, or any questions you have about them and how to make them, or if you want to ask me any kind of question about how I do something in Bible class, ask me, and then we'll finish up with a few more things that I have to say. How about that? All right, let's have some fun. Let's make some stuff. Play some stuff. See if you can answer the questions. So this last little part is going to be a little bit of a review and a couple of other things that I didn't write down within my other part. So it's my tips, Dee's tips, like, yeah. Okay, I've learned while teaching, listen to that. I've learned while teaching children's Bible class. I didn't know these tips before then. Number 1, be early, not on time. Early, be early. Be ready before you get there. If you have to come in and look at your book to see what you're supposed to be teaching when you get there, you're not going to have a great time. And your children are not going to learn very much from you. Okay? This is one thing that's personal to me, but I found out that a lot of people have watched it and said, I think I'm going to do that. Every kid should have their own markers and pencils and scissors and glue. Otherwise, we have chaos. So each time for, like right now, I have them, each one of them has a little toolkit. It's about this big. Guess where I got it? The dollar store. And I put their names with a little tag on it, and they have all of their markers in there. They're their markers. And they have their scissors because, you know, my little friend that thinks Jephthah's an idiot, he gets mad if anybody else picks up those blue scissors. And he thinks it's, I'm like, I try to explain to him that they're just picking up a pair of scissors, but to him it's personal, and he can't believe. They know it's my favorite color. Why are they getting my scissors? So his blue scissors are in his box. The pencils and the glue and all of that are in the box, and they keep them in the box, and they're not everywhere. And I have some that don't know how to put the caps back on them either. So the markers are dry. They'll go, my marker's dry. And I said, it's because you didn't put the cap on it. Now we have to throw it in the trash. I'm sorry you don't have a red marker. Cut things in advance. If you got a lot of stuff to cut, like those little bitty pieces like I had on the Joshua thing, that's just insanity to make the kids do them. It just takes up a lot of time, and it's not worth it. It becomes a chore and not a lesson. Know which students need your help. Because if you know that they need help, you can get there before they melt down, right? And nobody has to know that they need help because you're moving all the time anyway, right? Okay, and know your students' likes and dislikes. If I know that this kid really likes blue, then I'm going to make sure that that kid can have the blue. And that's all there is to it, because it's going to make my life a whole lot happier, and everybody else's too. Okay? Always have too much. Do you understand what I mean? You got to have extra stuff because you just don't know what's going to happen or how many of them. A couple of weeks ago, I had 11 children walk into my class over the course of about 15 minutes. I mean, some of them were in there really late. All of them were boys, except for one poor little girl that was just there for the day. And my favorite little autistic child was in there that day too. And it was chaos city. And I had to pretty much abandon what I had planned to do for class and do something else, but I had the stuff to do it. I keep a whole big thing of construction paper because sometimes we're going to end up we just have to draw what we're talking about, because I can't do anything else because there's too many of them. It's very helpful to use first then next. Do you know what I mean by that? So it's a thing that I'm going to tell you. First, we're going to do this. Then we're going to do this next. Because some of the kids get real anxious about, I want to do this thing. So I have to tell them first. First this, then next. That's always very helpful because they know what's coming and we'll be okay. Have students repeat after you. So if it's really important and you really want them to get this in. So I've been having trouble getting my boys focused in when I'm like reading from the Bible or reading from the Bible book that shows the pictures, and they just get crazy and doing things and not paying attention to what I'm trying to tell them. And so I started doing this little mantra. Repeat after me, I will not talk. I will not talk. I will listen. I will listen. I will pay attention. I will learn. And then by then, they've softened up enough that they can at least look at me for a few minutes. Stand up and move around, because that makes them have to pay attention to you because you moved. Try different things. When something's not working, or even if you've done it 10,000 times, try something different. It makes a big difference. Every quarter when we take everything off the walls and put new things on the walls, I always move the furniture too. I move everything around the room because it sets it up as different. It's not just, oh, here we are again. Change things. Change the things often. Praise individuals for doing good things or things that they don't normally do that you want them to do. Really praise them then. But also praise the entire group. So my little friend, I was really working hard at finding the good and praising him. And finally one of the other little boys said to me, did I do good too? And I was like, okay, I overdid it on that one and didn't tell everybody. Yeah, so you gotta praise both ways, individually and the entire group. If at all possible, and this isn't a if at all possible, which is not a good situation in the classroom that I'm in right now, is use furniture that fits the kids. I mean, my little kindergartners are sitting at a big person's table with a big person's chair. And it's one of those fold-up kind, those metal ones that make noise and you can fall through the back of them and all of that stuff. And they'll stand up. I'm like, what are you doing? Sit down. And then they're on their knees because if they're sitting down, their chin's at the table, and it's just, not a good. If you have any control over that, and if you need to talk to your deacons and your elders about that, get the right furniture if they can. I prefer a circular table because it keeps my kids from wanting to sit in a certain place. Like, I want to sit here and I want this person to sit next to me. But when we're in the table, when we're in a circle, we're all together as one. And it makes a huge difference. Keep the students' parents informed. Keep them informed. I was talking to Christy at lunch today about how I kind of had sort of quit doing this, but I used to send a letter out to the parents that were coming into the class for the next quarter and say, it's your responsibility to read the lesson to your children out of your book and to go through the Bible verses that are laid out there for you. It's laid out right there in that book. And I want your child to bring a Bible with them. And I don't want them to bring their book with them. I'm not going to use that book. I'm going to be teaching from that book, but I'm not going to read that lesson out of that book to them. That's your responsibility. And if you have any questions or anything you need to tell me about your kid, anything like that, I want to know. And then they do it when I tell them to do that. And then I think, well, I've had these kids for 4 quarters now. I don't have to give them this letter anymore. Well, guess what? They quit reading their stuff to their kids. So be sure that you let your parents know what you want them to know. Sing, sing, sing. Ask for help. You can't do it all by yourself all the time. And those of you that are married to the men that are in the 4th and 5th grade class teaching and the junior high class teaching, ask them what you can do to help them. I walked through your halls a little while ago. In the 4th and 5th grade, there is a map on the wall, and that's it. They went from all of the things that you do to teach your children to nothing. And it's not because your teachers don't want to do it, they don't know how. They're not they haven't taught before, and they need your help. And you can help them. You can help them and say, "Hey, what are you learning about? Would you like me to make you something blah 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 blah?" It would be such a blessing to them and such a blessing to those kids. Like I said, sing, 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 sing. I'm all about the singing. And pray, 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 pray. I let all of my little men pray every Bible class. It takes forever sometimes. You know, little boys, they pray about every little piece of dirt.
Even the 2-year-olds can do that.
Yes, yes. And let them pray. Let them pray. You'll be blessed by their prayers. They're so sincere. And my last thing I would say on my tips is don't give up. There are going to be days in Bible class that you think, I can't do this anymore. Yeah? I can't do this anymore. I can't get past this kid. I can't believe that this parent sends this kid into Bible class halfway through the thing, halfway through the time, all that kind of stuff. And there's going to be days when you just think you can't do it. This is our mission. This is what we were meant to do, and we can. Don't give up. Don't give up. I keep that's me telling myself, don't give up, don't give up. I'm not going to give up on my little friend. And then I have a few more things I'm going to be right on time. Wow. These are my last thoughts, and they're both scriptures. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, and when you walk along the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up. Deuteronomy 6:6-7. And the last one is, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. 3 John 1-4. Thank you for being here today. I hope I've helped you in some way. And like I said, anything you want to ask me, I will answer, or I will try to at least.